DDSB decides not to ask the health department for a mask mandate. Dan Kearns, The Standard. Durham. After a lengthy discussion, the Durham District School Board, DDSB, has decided they won't ask the Durham Region Health Department to reinstate mandatory masking requirements in their schools. At a board meeting on Monday, November 21st, Oshawa trustee Shailene Pinello made a motion to have the board formally request the Durham Region Health Department act proactively to protect children in our schools and give the board the directive to reinstate masking requirements in order to help mitigate risk and illness. Although we do have very vocal individuals here who oppose the motion, there are also those who have asked for it, Trustee Pinello stated. Our job as trustees is to have difficult conversations, even when we don't want to. Several times at the meeting, trustees were interrupted by members of the public when the issue of masking came up. Student trustee Ben Cameron supported the motion. I believe this is the right place and the right time to do this, he said. We have the power to act, and I do believe it is our duty to protect the most vulnerable. However, another Oshawa trustee, Linda Stone, said she couldn't support the motion because the Ontario government has already made their position clear on this matter. Right now, the Ontario government is only strongly encouraging the wearing of masks in schools, due to the rise in cases of influenza, respiratory syncytial virus RSV, and COVID-19. I find it a moot point now, Trustee Stone stated. Pickering trustee Emma Cunningham seconded the motion. In my opinion, the strongly encouraged wording is ineffective. If what the Ontario government truly wants is for people to wear masks, then unfortunately that is going to call for a mandate, because otherwise it's not going to happen, she voiced. Brock Scugog Uxbridge trustee Carolyn Morton cited mental health as the reason she couldn't support the motion. I've always focused on the social, emotional, mental, and physical well-being of our students, she explained. Mental health, to me, is so important, and for that reason, I cannot support this motion. She also noted she believes the decision on whether to wear masks should be made by families, not trustees. After a recorded vote was held on the motion, Trustee Pinello's motion was defeated, with 9 trustees voting against it.
Uxbridge woman receives multiple fraud-related charges. Dan Kearns, The Standard. Uxbridge. The Durham Regional Police Services, DRPS, has charged an Uxbridge woman with fraud after a client was allegedly defrauded of more than $9,000. According to police, their financial crimes unit started their investigation into 48-year-old Andrea Lynn Robertson in 2019, after allegations the suspect had received deposits from a victim for various lawyer fees. The suspect accepted funds from the victim, including a deposit intended as a retainer fee and a check intended for probate. The suspect misappropriated the funds for personal use, the DRPS stated in a press release. The suspect's license to practice law was revoked in May 2018. Ms. Robertson's company was Uxbridge Mediation and Divorce Services. She is being charged with fraud over $5,000, forgery, perjury, obstructing justice, and altering a document with the intent to defraud. Police are asking anyone who has further information on this case to contact Detective Constable Finley of the Major Crime Financial Crimes Unit at 1-888-579-1520, extension 5358.
TLDSB opens their next term at the inaugural meeting. Dan Kearns, The Standard. Kawartha Lakes. At the inaugural Trillium Lakelands District School Board meeting on Tuesday, November 22nd, new and returning trustees were sworn into office. The trustees stated their oath of allegiance as a group at the opening of the meeting, with Education Director Wes Hahn leading the ceremony. Then each member signed their declaration of office. Trustees then voted to allow Bruce Rain to be the chair of the board once again. Louise Claude will be the vice chair, and one of the Kawartha Lakes trustees, Colleen Wilcox, was named Chair's Council Trustee Alternate. It's been a couple of tough years when I was chair last time, but I'm really pleased with the group here and everyone in this room who was here in the last 2 years. The job we did, the strategic plan which was developed, and how we're focusing on that, as well as how our kids are improving, Chair Ryan stated. I look forward to working with and meeting all of you, and I will look forward to lots of input from each of you. Let's have a successful year. The new chair also provided a bit of education on some of the powers of these three roles. A week before any board meeting of Committee of the Whole meeting, the chair, vice chair, and past chair, or council trustee alternate, along with Wes Hahn and Superintendent Jennifer Johnston, will meet to come up with the agenda for the following meeting. And there's other decisions which will be made. The chair's council will put together a list of participants in each of the committees. So, we do have some other decision-making powers other than setting the agenda, the chair explained. The next regular meeting of the board is scheduled for Tuesday, December 6th. For more information, visit www.TLDSB.ca.
Let the bells ring. I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. Let the bells ring and the people cheer. At times, my dad would exclaim these words as he came crashing through the door at the end of the workday or after a hunting vacation. The nod to self-importance was purely intended as humor, but as children, we missed that and felt, to some degree, it was just the right feeling. We'd come running and squealing, "Dad's home, Dad's home," reaching for hugs. Our older sister would most often arrive first, getting a few extra hugs. Then we little men would receive a gentle punch in the arm on top of our hugs after her. We instinctively understood the affirmation. Sometimes he would get down on the floor, right there in the front hall, wrestling with us as we climbed Mount Dad. I was a bit older than my two brothers, and my roughhousing could have hurt them, so I would sometimes step back and let them go. One day, upon stepping back, I realized the significance of these moments. My dad had not gone any further into the home. He had dropped just inside the doorway and given himself to us for these few precious moments after he had arrived. He made our souls a priority. Unlike the stereotype of the time, he wasn't using the self-justification of working hard all day to excuse himself from spending a little time with us, even when he was most tired. I saw it in his face with the eyes of an older child, and was warmed by it. He never had a father growing up, yet he found the will to do what he had not been given, to ensure we didn't feel the same way. He actively made time for camping trips, fishing, canoeing, and playing football in the park with my friends and I when his old buddies came to visit. As we got older, for some reason, they got better at the game. I've since realized they were taking it a little easy on us when we were young, so as not to discourage us. But as we got older, they pulled out the stops to give us a reality check and teach us to reach for more, to show us there was more. I remember following him in hip waders through shallow waters on the reserve, as we seeded it with food to draw in the muskie for the annual muskie hunt. The hip waders were up to my armpits, tied about with bale twine to keep them there and watertight. Stumbling, dropping far behind, I was sometimes carried by my dad or another of the men in the group through the deepest part, but only so far, and then I had to finish on my own. This was a time when I felt like a little man. During this time, one was only allowed to use a bow to muskie hunt. I was too young to hunt with them, as it was hard enough to walk it, but I shared in the sense of inclusion and the thrill of the feed afterward. The anticipation of possibly being included in the future was a good, clean dream. It inspired me to become very proficient with a bow. I was on the archery team for Port Perry High 4 years in a row. We never lost during this time. I felt in my element. I don't know if there are any others out there who were team members during this time who remember it. This stands out as a vivid memory to me, as does running in the 1600-meter race in Ossa when I was 18. I had been noticed on the track during gym period as I paced myself and ran the loop. I had little time to prepare after I was asked, 3 weeks or so. It was a 2-lap, fast-paced race. I didn't win, but was doing quite well, running like a deer in the woods. This is what I saw in my mind's eye as I ran. I was in first place for the first lap and most of the second. Then, all at once, I heard the voice of my girlfriend at the time break through, along with the voices of other team members urging me on. Even though they all intended the best for me, my concentration was gone, the deer was gone, and I was a boy on a track being overtaken by the pack. As I rounded the last turn, I found myself with an empty tank, and I had to walk to the finish. I had not prepared for the gift they had tried to give me, to carry me through the deeper water, just enough for me to get my legs back so I could finish well on my own. Moments before, I was like the wind, and then it was gone. Things can change like that in life. But remembering watching my dad find it to give to his children when we were young helps me see, even now, there is more to find. It had been prepared and, unbeknownst to us, was being imparted for when we would need it. Sometimes we all need help. To paraphrase the Beatles, we get by with a little help from our friends. That's part of the plan. Their help is integrated in the moment, ahead of time. Often, when I'm reaching out to another soul in the midst of their struggle, I am reminded of the scripture which states, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." That's in Ephesians 2:10, English Standard Version. Stepping back is not a weakness. It's an opportunity for maturity, a clarity enough to open up, for strength that's ready for you, prepared for you, if you will but receive the gift, the help, or the preparation. Imagine there is a plan, a good way and purpose, and we can step into it and find the strength, clarity, and skill if we will let God be the only voice we hear, even over those who believe they have our best interest at heart. He will bring the help, or sometimes make us the help for another. On the first Christmas, when God came crashing through in the flesh into our existence as Jesus, he didn't shout out his own arrival. It came through the heralding angels. "He's here, he's here, he's here. Let the bells ring and the people cheer." You know, if you are willing to be warmed by it, you'll feel just like we did with our dad, and like me, want to just run to God, arms open wide, saying, "Dad's home, Dad's home." Merry Christmas and happy seasoning.
Struggling to Make Ends Meet by Tina Y. Gerber-McCurley. As Canada grows, so does the aging population. Our population of seniors is projected to increase over the next 10 years. The benchmark for a senior in Canada is traditionally regarded as the retirement age of 65. As we get older, for some reason, life becomes better. Many seniors are happy and feel supported by their friends and families. We grow happier and less worried if we've managed to financially secure ourselves in a healthy, solid future for our retirement. Our friendships grow, and we turn our attention away from the unpleasant towards the good. Unfortunately, especially in recent years, there are those seniors who are feeling the pinch of soaring costs. The situation is all too common across the country, so it's very easy to not be able to make ends meet. Whether it's due to unexpected bills, loss of a job, or from a variety of other reasons, many have become depressed, anxious, and report having mental health issues. Many are at risk from nutritional concerns, chronic diseases, and from thoughts of suicide, loneliness, and social isolation, especially during the holiday season. Many seniors are living below the poverty line or with low or moderate incomes and struggle to pay their bills each month. So many individuals need help, whether it's a single parent, a widower, or a senior who lives alone. Things like help with paying their rent, utilities, medical bills, for fuel, making food stretch for a month, or even help with snow shoveling. Look at your neighbors, friends, and family. Do they require help? I remember when I was first on my own, raising my daughters with a small income, I wouldn't and never have asked anyone for assistance. I was too proud even to ask my own family, yet someone from church had nominated us to receive help. The local charity organization in town provided us with a Christmas dinner and all the fixings. Not only did they do that, they provided us with Christmas gifts. What I remember most was the generosity of people I didn't know who loved and cared enough to help, demonstrating God's love by helping the less fortunate. That was us. Individuals are finding themselves in various situations without a cushion to absorb the increases of food, fuel, or utilities. With inflation at an all-time high, many Canadians are in a state they never thought they'd be in, and just putting food on the table has been a common struggle since the onset of the pandemic. I know we all experience difficulties and problems throughout our lives, but I truly believe God has promised to never leave us in difficulties or forsake us. However, we must remember, God is a gentleman and values our free choice. He will not force His blessing on our lives, even if we desperately need it. Instead, He will wait for us to turn, open up to Him, ask Him into our lives, and then trust in Him, as He can do whatever is essential and help us.
The Standard Podcast was produced by Greenstream Studio for the Standard newspaper.